Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wake the hell up, turn the volume way up, because we've got this week's episode of the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kobold, and pinch hitting with me today, our Green Bay Packer NFC North representative, Jack Alvarado. What's up, Jackie?
Hey, not much. Thank you for having me on. Quick notice, but I'm always excited to jump on the pod with you.
Yeah, quick notice. Texted you this morning. You were ready to go, man. So we appreciate that for sure. Last we had you on here, we talked about the Packers and the NFC North. We talked about we did a top 20 running backs with you a few months ago. So always a good time having you on here, Jack. Anything you got before we get into this discussion tonight, man?
I mean, you just mentioned the NFC North. I mean, it's been crazy for the NFC North so far. I mean, you see teams like the Lions, they're just running up the scores because we don't know how the tiebreakers are going to come out in that division. Big game for us, Packers, next week, or this coming weekend against the Lions. We're going to see a lot, but I'm excited. It's been hot in the NFC North.
Where's that game being played at?
I believe that one's in Detroit.
Okay, what's going to be the X factor to get that one done on the road, Jack?
Jordan Love.
Is he playing?
How healthy is Jordan Love? Can he play? I think that's the X factor. I think it would help most for us if we know early in the week. If Malik can get into the game plan early in the week, we'll be okay. But it looks like Love's going to take reps, and I don't know. That could throw up the offense just enough. And so, Love.
Speaking of Malik Willis, man, you swindled our Titans on that trade. What was it? A fifth round pick, sixth round pick. That Malik Willis looks like a solid backup that can fill in and be a rushing dual threat. What do you think about Malik Willis, real quick?
I like him. I do like him. I think he has some learning to do, but yeah, he's looked strong out the gate. I mean, he was 4 of 5 this last week with maybe 50 yards passing in the second half. So I like what I've seen out of him. I just don't think he's been put into the game plan. It's been built around Love and not Malik.
That makes sense. Speaking of the game plan, I love LaFleur. I think he's a great coach. Top 10 for sure. We got to get a debate, maybe top 6, 7. We got to debate that sometime. But he's top 10 for me.
The next few years will tell. We're going to see.
But this week on the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast, we're giving you one episode this week. Maxie, our boy Maxie, he's out of town, going back to Indiana. Shout out to Max. But we're gonna finish with our Extra Juicy Dawgz. Everybody loves that segment. We're gonna keep that for the end. We got some Gooses to talk about. We got some breaking news today in the NFL that we had to cut some things here, Jack, and had to put these things in.
Yeah.
Some big news out of the NFL. But we got to start with our World Series update. We've been updating it every time on the playoffs here in the MLB. The Dodgers and Yankees, they're meeting in the World Series for a record 12th time. Game 1 was last Friday. It went to extras. Jack, I don't know if you saw that one. Went to extras late.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman, a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th. First walk-off grand slam in World Series history. Dodgers won that baby 6-3. Game 2 was Saturday. We saw 4 homers in that one. 3 from the Dodgers, Tommy Edman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Freddie Freeman again, while Juan Soto homered for the Yankees. Dodgers won that one 4-2. Then in Game 3 last night on Monday, the Dodgers won that baby 4-2. So we got a 3-0 blow right now. Freddie Freeman homered again, Jack. He's homered all 3 World Series games. Dating back to Atlanta, Freeman has now homered in 5 straight World Series games. That ties George Springer for that record. Jack, what do you think about a 3-0 blow right now for the Dodgers and Freddie Freeman?
It's not looking good for the Yankees. I know going into this, I think it was a slight advantage to the Dodgers, but we were talking a lot about pitching for the Yankees, and in games 1 and 2, they just didn't get it done. I think the Yankees lost it in that first game. If they could have pulled that game off, which they had the lead early in that game, I think they could have changed the outcome of this whole World Series. And now it just looks like the Dodgers aren't going to let up. I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie Freeman gives us another home run tonight. I don't think it's going to be a good night for the Yankees today. I think they lost it there in game 1, and it's just been rough since.
Speaking of game four tonight, that's going on right now. First pitch was about 12 minutes ago. We got Luis Hill on the mound for the Yankees. And for the Dodgers, we got a reliever on the mound. I've never heard of this guy, Jack. We play fantasy baseball, but Ben Kasparius, that's not a name I've ever heard of. I'm going Yankees tonight. I'm going Yankees tomorrow. Going back to LA for
Garrett
game
Cole.
6 and 7. But I don't see the Yankees winning four in a row here, Jack. I don't see the Yankees winning four in a row. Are you gonna
No,
are you gonna predict it?
that they'll win it.
Sweep or four in a row,
Oh, I'm
Yankees.
calling sweep. Yeah, yeah.
Or
I'm,
sweep
I'm
for the
calling sweep.
Dodgers.
Dodgers take it
Oh,
tonight.
baby. Dodgers
They're
take it
not letting
tonight.
up. They don't. They've been stepping on their throats since game two. They get the lead and then they just destroy them with the bullpen. And today they're going to have, he's going to have all control on who he puts in, when he puts them in. So he's going to really feel out the game and see what he needs.
Aaron Judge, he's been sleeping. I uh I I'm not gonna go sweep with you, Jack, but I am gonna jump onto the Dodgers. I think they're no way Yankees are winning four in a row.
Oh
The
no.
Dodgers' last full season championship was in 1988. I obviously they won in 2020, but that wasn't a full season. Last full season championship for the Dodgers, 1988. I think that's nuts.
That is they've been such a dominant franchise, but they're back. Yeah, they'll definitely win this. It's just a matter of when and where.
Matter of time. Yep. Moving along tonight on the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast, we've got some breaking news out of the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens have just acquired Diontae Johnson from the Carolina Panthers via trade. Baltimore is only sending a 2025 fifth rounder for Johnson, a 2025 sixth rounder coming back. Just a little pick swap along with Johnson. Baltimore is familiar with DJ as he spent his first 5 seasons in division with the Steelers. Currently, Diontae Johnson with the Panthers this year. He's wide receiver 28, full PPR ESPN leagues. 30 catches for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. All those numbers lead the Panthers this year. Jack, what do you think about Diontae Johnson moving from Carolina to Baltimore?
I think it's a steal for Baltimore. I think they've realized they need another weapon. They need another deep threat. I feel like he gives me some similarities to Hollywood Brown, who they've lost. So he's going to be able to stretch the field more, but he's got very good hands. He's a very good route runner as well. Um, I just don't think we saw this one coming. It seemed like the obvious spot was going to be San Francisco, who's
Mm.
in need of receivers right now. So I think this was a really, really sneaky steal for Baltimore to just get in there and take them.
I'm definitely surprised by this move. Now, people are saying now Lamar Jackson has a new wide receiver one. Do you agree with that? That Deontay is just going to step in over Zay Flowers? Is he a better receiver than Zay Flowers? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's tough. They kind of both fall into the same tier for me. I think Zay Flowers would have the next a step over him just because he knows that offense better. But I do think Deontay has a lot to show. He also hasn't really had a quarterback as talented as Lamar Jackson before, and somebody that can move around in the pocket like that. So we really might see a whole different guy when he moves to Baltimore.
Zay Flowers right now, wide receiver 16, full PPR leagues in ESPN. I think we might be surprised by that. Now, obviously, Zay has to come down a little bit because he has to share the load. But who's the number one option here for Lamar Jackson? Who's going to be throw in Mark Andrews, throw in Isaiah Likely? Who's the number one target? Throw in Justice Hill for who's the number one target for Lamar Jackson in fantasy moving forward that you want?
At this moment, Zay Flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and then closely behind that is probably Deontay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy that I don't feel comfortable starting this week, probably not next week. But down the line, if he starts to build up a rapport with Lamar Jackson, we don't know what his ceiling could be. And we've kind of seen what Zay Flowers can give us. The downside of this whole offense is that you just don't know who's going to go off. Mark
Seriously.
Andrews can have 2 touchdowns, 100 yards one night, and then a
I,
goose.
double
So
goosey.
the only two players you can trust are Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Lamar's really he's not playing favorites. He's spreading around. If I could give you one name from Carolina to maybe look out for, fill in the void for DJ, Xavier Leggett, first rounder out of
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Carolina. He's gonna be able to step in there. If Andy Dalton comes back, that thumb's feeling right, he could be a second half sleeper here, Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
The NFL trade deadline, Jackie brought up the Niners are maybe looking for a receiver. Chargers might be looking for a receiver. The NFL trade deadline is actually next Tuesday, November 5th.
Yeah,
So it's coming quick. We're going to have a lot more news, trade news
definitely.
in the NFL next week.
Do you have any ideas on who might be the next receiver to move?
A lot of names out there, a lot of names out there, a lot of gum bumping, a lot of receivers. I feel like receivers are so deep, especially in fantasy, but
Yeah.
I don't have any names for you right now. Diontae Johnson, that was definitely the
Yeah,
top of
that
the
was
board.
I figured he was moving. He wasn't
Yeah.
staying in Carolina, but
Moving along, we got more breaking news, this time out of Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas, gum bumping wide receiver Stefon Diggs has just suffered a season ending torn ACL. Stefon, I think we might be surprised. Full PPR on ESPN. Wide receiver 8 on the season. So the gum bumping was warranted. 47 catches for 496 yards and 3 tutties on the season. He currently leads Houston in receptions, receiving yards, and is tied in receiving touchdowns. Now we know Nico Collins. He's been on the IR over the last 3 weeks with that hamstring injury. I haven't heard much from him if he's going to be eligible to come back or not. What do you think about Stefon Diggs going down with the ACL, and what does this mean for Houston?
yeah, that's it's not good for Houston. They haven't looked good through these first 8 weeks, anyways. So they really need all the help they can get on the offensive side. CJ Stroud is starting to struggle. I think defenses are figuring out what he likes to go to, and he's having to go to third and fourth reads, and he just can't get there quickly. And he's lost. You mentioned Nico Collins is out. It does sound like there's a chance he could be eligible for next week. They seem to think that he could work his way back, but still used to have so many targets there. Noah Brown is gone now, so he's left with Joe Mixon coming out of the
Your
backfield.
guy.
Tank Dell, who's been iffy for him as of late.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough sledding for the Texans going forward without Diggs.
Yeah, I think it's Houston's division to lose. Definitely that AFC South is bad, man. Houston's six
Yeah.
and two. Houston's 6-2. So I'd be shocked if they don't make the playoffs. This is a big loss for him. Definitely Stefon Diggs. The gum bumping is warranted. He's a bona fide big dog on the
Yeah.
outside there. You mentioned Tank Dell. Only missed one game this year. Wide receiver 58. Oh my goodness. I was really high on him. I think there's a big opportunity for him. Big opportunity for him. Jack, if you got Tank Dell on your fantasy team, are you looking to trade Tank Dell or are you like, man, this is CJ Stroud's number one guy now. I'm gonna hold on to Tank and see what happens. What are you doing?
Uh, it's tough. He hasn't looked good. He's still fast, he's electric, but I feel like I've seen him drop a few balls that he should have brought in. Um, so it would be tough. I think you need him to have a big game and you could trade him for some more value. I'm not sure if people would really go for him right now. And Nico is expected to come back
Yeah.
eventually down the road.
Mhm.
So it would be tough to trade him right now, but if he has a big week this weekend, that would be somebody to try and move before Nico returns.
You mentioned your guy Joe Mixon. Oh man, even more work for him coming. Points per game basis. He's missed 3 games if I'm not mistaken. Running back
Yes.
1 on the season. Joe Mixon. Running back 1 points per game, boys. And I think Dalton Sharts, as we like to
Yeah,
call him on this podcast, because he's tight end 25 on the season. He's played in every game. Tight end 25. I think he might be streamable moving forward. Jack, any thoughts on that?
absolutely. I'd agree with that. Titans were tough early, but I feel like lately they've been performing better. So it's a little bit harder, I think, this next week to pick the right guy. It's hit or miss with tight ends.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a steady guy, so he could be one to go to.
Moving along in the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast this week, let's talk about our Hades three-headed dogs. Now, this is when a player gets in the end zone 3 times, and we haven't had one. We didn't do them last week, and I don't think we had one the week before. So we've been a week or two without these Hades three-headed dogs, but we got one this week. And Jack, I think it's the first time ever we've had a quarterback on this list. Now, obviously, 3 touchdowns passing from a quarterback, that happens. That happens plenty of times. We see that every week. But this week, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles rushed 3 touchdowns in the end zone, 10 carries for 37 yards in those 3 scores at Cincinnati. He was also solid through the air, 16 to 20, only 4 incompletions, 236 yards and another tutty. Jalen Hurts now has 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games. Max brought him up a couple weeks ago in his Extra Juicy Dawgz segment. And I was just wondering, is this guy going to run anymore? Is he going to rush anymore? Yeah, Saquon's there. We talk about Saquon. He's a beast. Jalen Hurts must have heard me. He must be listening to the pod because 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games. Oh, my goodness. This past week at Cincinnati, it was a season high in fantasy points for him. He's had at least 21 fantasy points each of the last 3 games. This guy's heating up. Quarterback 3 in points per game. What do you think about Jalen Hurts in this performance, Jack?
Uh, it hurts. It hurts to see it. I'm the one at the beginning of the season who was saying this wouldn't be the Jalen Hurts
Ooh,
that we're seeing right now. I was the
ooh.
one who was saying I think Saquon Barkley is going to take all these touches away from him, and he's not going to have those rushing tutties, which leads to his high fantasy output. But no, he's still doing it. And then today I even looked back at Saquon Barkley to see is it because he's not performing, but no, he's still putting up the yardage and still putting up the touchdown. So I they're surprising me. The Eagles have figured out the offense. They seem to be clicking and rolling right
Mm-hmm.
now. Let's see how they do in the last 5 games of the season because that seems to be either they push through or they fall apart. So
Yeah,
right now he's looking good.
that playoff game last year was pretty shitty. But yeah, I think that the team's healthy right now. AJ Brown's back. Devontae Smith has had a good game coming off that goose. Give me moving forward here the next 3 weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts coming up. You're hosting Jacksonville. Oh my goodness. You're going to Dallas. That's a good one. And then you're hosting Washington. Give me the percentage chance, Jack, out of 100 that Jalen Hurts ends the season as the quarterback 1 overall.
I I think that's going to be tough. Number one overall, I give him a
Number one.
90% chance.
90%
Maybe
chance.
maybe
Wow.
maybe a little bit higher, but there's a few other guys that I think have a higher chance than him, and one of those being Jaden Daniels that he'll meet
Ooh,
with
hello.
Washington.
Hello.
He's putting up electric numbers right now, and that offense is going to do whatever it takes to win. But you still have to think Barkley's there, and I think at some point in the season, Jalen's going to get tired. He's going to get worn down, and they're not going to want him to get hurt. They'll want Saquon to take those hits. So I don't foresee him averaging 5 rushing touchdowns every 2 games going forward. So he's got a very high chance. Very high chance. He looks very good right now. Where's he at right now at this moment?
Quarterback 3 points per game. I believe quarterback 6 overall because he had his bye
Okay.
week.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see it.
Let's move into our gooses, Jack. This is when we take a little bit of time to make fun of some people in our league that started a player or a defense in their fantasy matchups that gave them 0 or negative points. And damn it, Jack, I I, I, I hate to come on here every week and throw myself under the bus, but I got to do it again. The Ravens defense is screwing me. They're screwing me, Jack. At Cleveland this week, let's talk about Cleveland real quick. Their points in each game this season, their points. Cleveland Browns, they scored 17, 18, 15, 16, 13, 16, 14. This game against the Ravens, 29.
Well,
29.
yeah. Who was the starting quarterback?
Famous Jameis, baby. Crab legs Winston.
That's why.
Deshaun Watson is awful. I never want to see somebody get hurt. I never want to see anybody go down. But damn it, Deshaun Watson fucking sucks. Back to the Ravens defense. This is the second time goosing me this year. They have 5 total points in the last 4 weeks. They're ranked 25th in defensive special teams this season. Jack, I gotta drop them. Do you
I
agree
was about
with
to
me?
say you starting them next week, Denver.
Playing Denver, then hosting Cincinnati, and then going to Pittsburgh. I think I got to drop them. Broncos look
Yeah.
solid. Bo Nix looks solid. Are you
Yeah.
are you dropping them if you have the Ravens D?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm moving on. I'm finding another defense. They score too much and they score too fast. That's the problem there. Um, that was an issue with the Kansas City Chiefs defense for a while, about a year ago, because their offense would score too much, and then the defense just eventually let up points in the second half. So yeah, I wouldn't trust that defense.
That's a great point. Great point. Just get up early, and the other team has to chuck it around.
Yeah.
One more defense. Seems like it's going to be a lot of defenses in this Goose category, which it always is every year. But our guy, Taylor Wilson, he started the Vikings defense. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for starting that Vikings defense at the Rams. They're now, after this Goose, they're still the third ranked defense special teams. So I'm not dropping them. Double figures in 5 out of 7 weeks. They get a little AFC South run here, Jack. They play Indy, at Jacksonville, and at Tennessee. Are you riding with the Vikings defense?
Indy would make me a little nervous with a new quarterback coming in. You planned for Indy and now things are changing. You don't know what they're gonna do.
Sure.
Uh, I don't know. I think they're gonna regress as a defense. I mean, you have a lot of turnovers early in the season. So they're capitalizing on offenses, still learning the system. Uh, I think that's going to regress. So I don't know. You could get away with a couple starts there. I just don't think they're going to hold up the double figure score every single week going forward. But yeah, AFC South run is pretty nice.
Yeah, with the bottom three fucking queef teams there.
Yeah.
Our Goose Wrangler leaderboard for this season. We got to give the people a quick update. First update of the season with two gooses on the season. Our buddy Max, our guy here from the pod, my wife Kelly, Zach, who's been on here, and you, Jack, you got two.
I was about to say, I thought so.
Our buddy Taylor Wilson, who we just talked about, he's got four. You know, the 2022 Goose Wrangler. He's back up to his old ways. Nobody's surprised to see him here. But damn it, we might be surprised to see myself at the top of the leaderboard for the Goose Wrangler. I got six. I've got six gooses in 8 weeks, Jack. Always a fun leaderboard to watch throughout the year. You've never been the Goose Wrangler, have you?
Yeah, no, I don't think
No,
so.
no.
No. I'm typically I find my defense, I find my kicker early in the season. That's where you get your gooses. The
Good
tight
call.
ends too. Tight ends are tough.
Good call on that. And just since we had this Vikings defense goose against the Rams last week, and this segment with talking about possible rumors about a Sam Darnold for Matthew Stafford swap there. Old buddy Sean McVay, Kevin
Yeah, yeah.
O'Connell, maybe a little bit of collusion. We could throw a little bit of collusion in there. What do you think about a possible swap of these quarterbacks?
I don't know. I thought it was silly. It just sounds like a story.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the Rams would want to do that. Sam Darnold, it's not like you're pulling in youth and you're pulling in like a future franchise quarterback. Sam Darnold might have 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't see it.
We're waiting for the slipper to fall off on Sam Darnold. Definitely, he's playing above his head. Definitely the coaching there. Yeah, I'd be holding on to Matthew Stafford even at 36. Back here tonight on the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast, we got to give the people what they've been waiting for. The conclusion of this week's episode, the Extra Juicy Dogs.
Yo, this
Good
is my
one.
first time. This will be my first
First
time.
time on the
Yeah,
first time on the Extra Juicy Dog
my first
segment for
start.
Jack here. Wow, I didn't realize that. Well, don't be afraid to guarantee some tutties here, Jack. We didn't talk about that. Don't be afraid for your
I
mind,
got
Mister
I got
Tutty.
one up my sleeve.
He's got one up
Got a
his
good
sleeve.
one. I got a good one up my sleeve.
I can't wait to hear it, Jack. I'm gonna start off here with my extra juicy dog at the quarterback position for week 9. This guy's heating up a little bit. We weren't sure. He had a big game about a month ago. Then he's been kind of sleeping. Big game last week. Kirk Cousins playing against the Dallas Cowboys. Captain Queef, he's currently quarterback 12 in fantasy, but he's coming off a quarterback 3 last week at Tampa. 276 yards on 6 incompletions and 4 touchdowns. Why am I firing them up in this one? Dallas, the Cowboys, they're 28th against the quarterback position in fantasy football. Atlanta, they're slight favorites, less than a field goal favorites at home, and a 52.5 point over under. That's a lot of points, easily the highest on the week. Going to be a little bit back and forth here, I hope. I'm going to take the quarterback at home. Fire up Kirk Cousins if you got him.
I like it.
What do you think
Yeah.
about Kirk, and give me your quarterback?
Yeah, I like Kurt a lot. I mean, I think it's just been progress all year for him. One, him getting healthier, feeling like he can plant on that back foot, and then two, learning the offense. He feels safer in that offense now. He's making checks at the line. So yeah, I like him a lot going forward, which is why I have Drake London because I feed off of that.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
My quarterback this week, you called him last week. Bo Nix out of Denver
Ooh,
has
Bo.
been looking strong. And we just talked about your sad Ravens defense. They'll be coming to town this next week.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take advantage of that. I see another 3 touchdown week for Bo Nix. I
Ooh,
think it's going to
baby.
be he's going to continue with this. I think that's we're seeing the true quarterback in him.
We knew about the accuracy coming in. We knew about Sean Payne, but what we didn't know about was the legs. He's been running the ball. He's been running
Oh
the ball.
yeah,
Games with 35, 25, 47, 61, and 75 rushing yards, 4 scores on the ground. We weren't expecting that. We weren't
fantasy
expecting that.
floor. It's what you
Quarterback,
want.
quarterback nine in standard leagues. Quarterback nine, Bo Nix. Oh my goodness.
But the last 4 weeks have been impressive. I think he had one low score in the last 4 weeks, but been posting 20s lately.
Yeah,
So that's what you look for.
you can pick him up, no doubt about it. My extra juicy dog at the running back position for week 9. I'm going down to South Beach and picking my Miami Dolphin, Devon Achan. They're going to Buffalo, so I'm not going down to South Beach. We were talking about South Beach before we got on this pod, Jack. You and I and my wife Kelly had a great night in South Beach one time, seeing
Good time.
2019 Heaton, the Miami Heat and Dallas Mavericks. It was Dirk and D Wade's last year. Luca was a rookie. That's a game I remember with you, Jack. Any thoughts from that night?
That was a fun night. It was
Yeah.
such a fun night. We fit a lot into that one night. But it's crazy to think back. That was Luca was playing that game.
Luca was in there. We really didn't know much about him, and
Yeah, we were there for Wade and Dirk.
we were there for D Wade and Dirk. Yeah, it was their swan song. But I'm taking the Miami Dolphin Devon Achan in this game at Buffalo. Right now, Achan, he's running back 17 on the season.
Hmm.
Unsurprisingly, the 3 games with Tua are Achan's best. That's not surprising. In the receiving game in those three outings with Tua, week 1 for Achan, 7 catches for 76 yards. Week 2, 7 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. And week 8 last week, 6 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. That's 20 catches. That's 20 catches in 3 weeks right there from your running back. 96 rushing yards in week 1 and 97 rushing yards last week are easily his highest on the season. So this guy, I'm not sure if he needs Tua, but damn it, he needs Tua to be a running back 1 or running back 2 in your fantasy lineups. Right now, Devon Achan, he's 4th at the running back position in receptions, receiving yards, and targets. So Tua being back, that's going up. He could challenge for the top spot amongst receiving running backs.
Hmm.
Miami, they're 6.5 point road underdogs in Buffalo. They're going to have to throw 49.5 point over under. That is the second highest on the week. Buffalo, why am I firing up HN on the road? They're 29th, Buffalo, 29th against the running back position in fantasy football, their defense. My buddy, Mr. Tutty, Devon Achan, with all that speed, Tua's back. Miami had a lot of juice coming into the season, a lot of gun bumping. Let's see what they can do. Devon Achan going to get in the end zone against Buffalo. What you got for me?
I like it. I like
Yeah.
the call. I agree. I think the whole offense needs Tua back to function in Miami. So yeah, definitely he's going to do better. He's in my head, he's a hit or miss running back. He's a guy that I would be frustrated to have on my fantasy
Yeah.
roster because you just don't know what he's going to do. But I like the game script against
Mhm.
Buffalo. I'm with you. I could see that happening.
Yeah, with Tua coming back, we can agree Tua is a top 15 quarterback in the league, but nobody's going to come out here and say he's top 5 or anything. But when this dude goes down, like Miami doesn't know what to do. Tyreek
Yeah.
Hill can't do anything. Jalen Waddle is shit. Nobody can be started. I don't know what's going on there. That Tua is just their godsend, and he's not a top 5 quarterback in this league. You would think Tyreek Hill could do it with some backups, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you would think. I think it's just it's kind of like we were talking with Malik Willis for the Packers. The offense is designed around Tua, and when you don't have Tua, nobody else can be Tua. So it makes it hard for somebody else to step in and just run that offense. But
Good point.
yeah,
Give
no,
me give me your extra juicy dog at the running back position.
yeah. I'm going with my boy Joe Mixon out of
Oh
Houston.
baby.
I think he's going to be going off this weekend. They really don't have any other options right now. Nico might be back. I don't think that's going to happen. And if he is, he's going to be on a what we would call a pitch count. I don't think he's going to play a full game. So they're going to need Mixon for sure.
Mhm.
Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if Mixon finds his way in the end zone twice this weekend.
Oh
So I'm
boy.
calling him my
Oh.
Mr. Double Tutty
Oh,
this
my.
weekend. Joe Mixon, I see him getting in two times. He could go in
Woo.
once through the air, one on the ground. I don't know how it's going to happen, but he's going to be the focal point of that offense. He's been
Mm.
posting electric numbers as of late. You mentioned his points per game when you look at that stat, and he's got a chip on his shoulder right now to
Mm.
prove that he is a top running back in this league, and he wants the yardage title. He wants to be the leader at the end of the year. So he's going to do what he can, and they need him.
A double tutty guarantee for Joe Mixon, baby. I
Calling it.
like it. Hell of a
Calling it.
season, man. Running back 1 points per game. Oh my goodness. He hasn't lost a step. People were worried about him leaving Cincinnati. Damn it, you weren't. First round pick in our two keeper league.
I
You're
was
you're
surprised I got him.
you're damn happy. You're damn happy with Joe
Oh yeah.
Mixon this year. You got him. My extra juicy dog at the wide receiver position for week 9. We're going down a little bit. You can throw this guy in your flex. Indianapolis Colts. Oh, that kind of felt something coming up when I said that. Indianapolis Colt wide receiver Joshua Downs. They're going to Minnesota this week. Right now, Downs, I think we might be surprised. Wide receiver 21 points per game basis. He missed the first 2 weeks. Wide receiver 21, that's flex worthy. That's flex worthy for sure. Why am
Mhm.
I putting him in here? Because Anthony Richardson has just been benched. It came out today. Shane Steichen benching the young man for Joe Flacco. Jack, we got to get your opinion on this. I don't know if you saw the short I made, but they're asking AR why he came out of the game. He's tapping his head, tapping his head. Third down in the red zone, by the way. It's third down in the red zone. He's tapping his head, checks himself out because, quote, he was tired. Jack, what do you think about Anthony Richardson subbing himself out because he was tired on third down in the red zone?
He's young. He's young, and he's got a lot of pressure on him. I was surprised that people were speaking so highly of him all last season, all off season, all pre-draft season. He's gonna be QB1. And when do you draft him? I did not see that talent just yet. I think he still has to prove that. But he's young. He needs to still develop in an offense, and they threw him right into the fire. He got hurt. Who knows how comfortable he is right now? Uh, I like Joe Flacco coming in for
Yep.
Josh Downs. I do think Josh Downs will be a reliable flex. He might even move up to a fringe wide receiver two with that change at quarterback because they don't
Mm,
have many other targets. You got
no.
Michael Pittman, and he's going to take away a lot of the stronger coverage. And you got Josh Downs, who's able to run the underneath in the slot. He can go deep. So I do think he's a valuable pickup right now. He's available in our league. I don't think he'll be available after waivers tomorrow morning.
Ooh, yeah, we got waivers tonight, baby. It's Tuesday. Joshua
Yeah,
Downs, the 3 games with Joe Flacco this year, 3 games with Joe Flacco. Joshua Downs, 8 catches for 82 yards and a tutty, 9 catches for 69 yards, and 7 catches for 66 yards and a tutty. That is, Jesus, that's, what is that, Jackaroni? That's 17. That's 24 catch. Hold on. 24 catches? Not doing my
that's
math right. 24 catches in those 3 games,
sounds
30
right.
targets over those 3 games, only 22 for Pittman. I'm not sure who the big dog is. To me, that's Joshua Downs. Joshua Downs might be the number one target for Joe Flacco. I'm not sure. Colts
Uh,
are 5.5 point road
it's
favorites.
looking like the
Or,
Packers almost with Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. It's Christian Watson's the better receiver. Romeo Dobbs might have more receptions. I'd say the
yeah,
same with the Colts. Pittman's
not
the better receiver
yeah, definitely
by far.
more talent, but maybe Joe Flacco likes him a little bit more. I messed up there. Colts are 5.5 point road underdogs, so Joe's going to be chucking that thing maybe 40 times, 46.5 point over under, tied for fourth highest on the week. And the Vikings, we might not know this, but Puka ate him up last week. Cooper Kupp had a tutty last week. Minnesota is 32nd, dead last against the wide receiver position in fantasy football. So we could see Joshua Downs catching a bomb here. But yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
the other thing to think about, the Vikings feed off of young quarterbacks. The whole reason they've been so dangerous is because third downs, they're moving on the line. They're not getting set, and quarterbacks don't know how to read it. I think Flacco's going to have a better sense of this. He's seen this kind of defense before. I think Pittsburgh ran it a while back.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they tear him up. I think he's going to be much more comfortable in the pocket with that defense.
Possible upset pick here. Colts in Minnesota for you.
It could
Possible
be a
upset
good
pick.
one.
Jack, what do you think about me possibly throwing Anthony Richardson into the 2024 Don't Tell Mama NFL's biggest douchebag of the year for checking himself out? Third down in the red zone. Everybody's tired. Is not all 22 guys on the field tired right now? You're going to check yourself out. Is he a candidate for the biggest douchebag in the NFL right now?
I think you got to throw him in.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, everybody in the locker room is saying that. I wonder what the conversation was like after that game. You know,
Yeah.
if you're an offensive lineman, if you're the center, your quarterback's tapping out because he's
Oh
tired.
yeah. Ryan Kelly had some comments. You
I
go
mean,
check him
that's
out. Ryan Kelly, the center, had some comments.
oh
Go check
really?
him out. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
God.
so
You
I'm
can't have your line against you.
nope,
Like,
nope,
no,
nope.
he might not start again
He
this
might be
year.
done. Anthony Richardson, sorry, Sam. I know you were queefing about him, drafting him. You sent out a big text to the league. Dear league, I'm a queef because I drafted it. So take that text back. Anthony Richardson, I already saw you dropped him. He's a queef. He might not start again. He might not start again. Give me your extra juicy dog at the wide receiver position for week 9, Jackaroni.
I'm going Scary Terry this week.
Ooh.
That offense has been dangerous, and if you look back at his run right now, I don't think he's been below 12 points since week 3 in
Hello.
fantasy, and we're half point PPR. Uh, he's going up against the Giants, a divisional rival. Giants haven't looked good on defense.
No.
I think he's going to tear them up again. Uh, Not much else to say. Scary Terry is scary.
Scary Terry's in my lineup. He's been in my lineup for a few weeks. Definitely love the stack with Jaden Daniels for sure.
Oh, that's big.
My extra juicy dog at the tight end position. I'm going your tight end, Jack. I'm going your tight end, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. Let's not be surprised out there. Pitts is tight end 4 on the season. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Tight end 4. Big game last week with Kirk Cousins. I'm going the stack. Big game last week at Tampa Bay. 4 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. That chemistry, it seems like it's picking up with Kirk Cousins. We talked about the tight end position. 17 tight end touchdowns last week, Jack. 17 tight end touchdowns. It was a record for most receptions in a day by tight ends, National Tight End Week or whatever.
Yeah.
So Kyle Pitts, he definitely got 2 of those 17. The Falcons, they're 2.5 point home favorites in this one. 52.5 point over under is the juiciest, highest total of the week. Dallas, they're 21st against the tight end position. Two tutties last week, 1 tutty earlier in the season. Damn it, I'm going another one. His 4th of the season. And my buddy, Mr. Tutty, Kyle Pitts. It's hard to guarantee tight end tutties, but I'm smelling this one, Jack. I'm smelling this one. 4 touchdowns for Kyle Pitts in a season. That'd be a career high.
Yeah.
What do you what do you think
I
about your
like it.
boy Pitts? And give me your tight end.
There's a reason I went after Pitts in the draft. I knew this was going to be the season, and if it wasn't this season, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins coming over from Minnesota, he did it with tight ends there. TJ Hawkinson was not a top, I wouldn't put him in the top 10 of, all-time tight ends, but he made a living because of how he got the ball and he worked off of workload, just a lot of passes, a lot of targets. So I saw the same thing happening in Atlanta, starting to pay off. It's still up or down. He was a week 4 goose, so it's tough with the tight ends, but
Yeah.
I hope you're right because I need that. I need that this weekend. At the
Give me
tight end
your
position, I'm
yep.
going. I'm going. I feel like it's very mellow, but it hasn't been a great year for him. I'm going with Travis Kelce in
Ooh, okay.
Kansas
Okay.
City.
Yeah.
He's starting to put it back together. Early on the season, we were like, wait, what's going on? This guy was the #1 tight end drafted in the last what 4, 5
Decade.
fantasy years.
Decade, maybe.
Yeah. So it was surprising, but it's starting to come back together. It's another offense where Patrick Mahomes doesn't have many targets. That's another place where Diontae Johnson, I thought he could have fallen.
True.
But it's going to be a Kelsey party this weekend.
Yeah, I hope Travis Kelce picks it up. He's definitely a guy everybody loves. First touchdown of the season. First touchdown of the season last week in Las Vegas. I think people
Was
might be
that the
shocked.
first touchdown?
First, he's only got 1 this season.
Wow,
Only 1. He got it, of course, on National Tight Ends Week, but 10 for
it's gonna
90 and a
change.
tutty last week. That's pretty solid. But yeah, him and Patty are always going to be boys. So let's look for Kelsey in the red zone for sure. Jack, that's going to do us this week for the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast. We appreciate you coming out here, man. Pinch hitting for Maxie. Maxie's back in Indiana. Jack, anything else for the people before you get out of here, man? Anything on your Packers? Anything on your fantasy team? The squad's looking good, but Max spanked that ass last week.
Yeah. No, squad's on a run right now. Chubb's coming back, so I have that weapon, building his way up. I have another tough matchup this weekend. I need to figure out what I'm doing with Jordan Love. But that takes me to my Packers. I'm more worried about the Packers. I need Love to get some rest this week. I need him to be healthy. I need him to be able to move. Or if not, I need Willis in there, and I need him building that offense around him. But it's going to be a tough matchup. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to come down to the last drive.
Looks like that game might be in Lambeau, Jack.
It's in Lambeau.
Can Malik Willis beat the Lions?
He can. The Packers can beat the Lions. They have everything they need on that offense.
I'm gonna be watching that one. I'm gonna be watching that one, like we said in the beginning. The NFC North. Oh my goodness, might have 4.
That defense could stifle them.
Yeah. I'm gonna have that one on my screen for sure. NFC North is tough. It could be 4th playoff teams fighting. Could be. If you want to throw the Bears in there, could be.
I don't think Bears are gonna make it.
I don't either, but might be fighting.
It's so funny that they have 5 wins, and we're like, they aren't gonna make it.
right. It's tough, man. It's tough when only 6-7 teams make it.
That was a tough loss. That was a tough.
Oh yeah.
If they won that, we're talking 4 teams in the NFC North fighting for the playoffs.
The difference of a couple plays can turn somebody's season. Oh yeah, Tyreek Stevenson will definitely be talking
I'm waiting
about
for Max's short clip on him.
Well, I already sent one out.
Did you send one out?
Yeah. You go check that one out. Tyreek Stevenson definitely going to be a candidate for the 2024 Don't Tell Mama NFL's biggest douchebag of the year, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.